and welcome to the first basketball edition of the Section 17 podcast. I am your host, Josh Cox. I am here today with Scott Medlin, the big dog. Jamie will be on some of these, Brian, potentially, but it is great to see you. And thank you for tuning in. This is our first ever basketball pod. And so we appreciate you guys tuning in tonight. We do, right off the bat, just want to let you know we are brought to you by three incredible sponsors. One of them is El Rodeo. They are a Mexican restaurant in North Durham off of North Duke Street. We want to encourage you to go there whenever you're in the mood for some good Mexican food. As I always say, get you some queso. And they have a private room in the back there if you have a larger group. A great atmosphere, drinks, food, whatever you need there. So go see our friends, Andres, Mario, and the rest of the crew there at El Rodeo. And then we have some really good friends of ours. Hometown Air is our next sponsor.
Your HVAC system works hard all year. Shouldn't you have a team that works just as hard for it? Hometown Air's service contracts give you peace of mind, priority service, and preventative care to keep your system running efficiently for as long as possible. It's all about staying ahead of problems so your system lasts longer and your home stays comfortable. Keep it simple, stay comfortable, and enjoy the season without worry. Mention the Section 17 podcast for 10% off your next visit. Call 919-568-3212 or visit hometownairnc.com for your free quote today.
And special thanks to our friends over at Hometown Air. And then lastly is the Section 17 podcast is brought to you by Realtor Matt Lunsford Bliven. When it comes to buying, selling, investing, or building here in Durham and around the Triangle, Matt is always ready to help you move. He will take care of the entire process from tip-off, halftime, post-game, so that you will never miss your shot. If you're looking for a real estate win, put your trust in Realtor Matt Lunsford Bliven, helping you score big in the Durham market and beyond. If you need to reach out to Matt, you can reach out to him. I need to make sure I get this right. I've got to find the new email address. It is mlb@chappellres.com. That is CHAPPELLRES.com. mlb@chappellres.com. Got to keep the lights on, Scott. Got to keep the lights on, man. Well, listen, here we are, Scott. We are 3 games into the Duke men's basketball season. Obviously, we have been following Duke men's basketball for our entire lives, but this is our first time together. I go on Locked On a little bit, but other than that, this is our first time together really talking about Duke men's basketball. So what we want to do, the way we'll run tonight is we're going to kind of give our 3-game recap of kind of where we feel like Duke is over these first 3 games. Obviously, only one of the 3 games really being anything that you can take much away from, being the Texas game. And then we've got some questions from the mailbag, and then we'll do a Duke in the NBA highlight, and then we'll be out. These are probably going to be a little bit quicker than our football podcasts are. But Scott, real quick, man, first 3 games: Duke, Texas, Western Carolina, Army. Give me kind of your thoughts for the first 3 games.
Well, I know it's transitioning over to this round orange basketball thing that we didn't know about till this year. Really, I should have enjoyed watching the 3 games so far. These guys, they're young, obviously, but it's good to see how they're progressing each game. I mean, you look at Isaiah Evans, he definitely took that next step that we were hoping he would take. He's taking that step. The Cam Boozer has been what we thought he'd be. Now, granted, you look at his stat line as far as points, he's not going to average 30 a game. That's just not his game. But he's going to stuff the stat sheet. He's going to have close to a triple-double or a quadruple-double some nights in the stat lines. And he's everywhere. He adjusts shot. He makes people adjust shots and everything like that. And one of the things that, I know we could probably hit on this in a few minutes. I mentioned this because I didn't get to watch the game the other night. I was doing something. but I went back and watched it yesterday. This team can pass. Now, you talk about pocket passing. I mean, they were running the two-man NBA game just to a T. And you talk about just great passing. Now, granted, nothing against Army. It was Army. But still, the rest of the guy, during the other three games, they're still making great passes. So it's something I like to see that we're building upon early. Again, I mean, I don't know how anybody can say they have a better schedule than Duke does. We're going to get to see how good these guys are. And I've said this to many people. I've probably said it to Josh 1,000 times. One of the great things about college basketball is you can play 12 to 15 games before Christmas or whatever the number is. You can take 6 to 8 losses and still be a 2 or 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. That's one of the advantages of having a 30-game season, unlike football, for example, where you only get 12 to 13 games, and if you lose, you get yourself in trouble. So that being said, I mean, I've enjoyed watching this team. Um, I didn't realize Caden Boozer was as good as he was. I didn't realize Sarr was as good as he was. I think Big Pat has done his job, done what he was going to do. Kamenya has done a great job coming off the bench. I mean, we could hit every player, and I could sit here and talk about all of them for 2 or 3 minutes, but I like where we're at after three. Looking forward to the next couple sets of games. Competition gets a little harder, just to see where we match up. I mean, I'm not expecting Duke to go undefeated, and if you're expecting that, man, Lord, God bless you, because it just ain't going to happen. But I'm looking forward to the competition we play as we go on.
No, I completely agree with you, Scott. 3 games in, if you're John Shire, you got to be pleased where your team is. You mentioned Cameron Boozer; he's obviously the highlight, the star of this team. But you look at the stats against Texas in the first game, and obviously Cam was 0 for 7 with 0 points and I think 1 rebound at halftime in that game, and then in the second half he has 15 points and 12 rebounds. He finishes with 15 and 13 total. And you think through that and you're like, man, like, let's just say he had, just half of that production in the first half. You're looking at a 23 point, 18 rebound, type game. And so, that, and if that would have happened, then, he would have absolutely blown up, in the media and all of that. And so I do like, what I'm seeing from Cam in the sense of, he is a well-rounded player. He's got, I believe, he's averaging like 5 assists per game from his role. He passes the ball really well. And he's also something that I harped on last year's team, which we're going to do a comparison here in a second. I love the fact that last year's team they were led by Cooper Flagg as kind of the alpha. And when you're alpha, like Cameron Boozer is this year, when your alpha gives maximum effort on the defensive side of the court, your team feeds off of it. And there have been Duke teams in the past that had really good, skilled players, but for some reason during their year, most of the time that's a one and done guy, right? Most of the time. And for some reason during their season at Duke, at an 18-year-old or 19-year-old body and psyche and their mentality, they weren't 100% like your defensive leader. Duke and John Shire has been fortunate last year and this season. I believe that your alpha dog is a 110% defensive type mentality guy. And so I think that's important. And then I would say this, I mean, it's been interesting to see in the first 3 games how this team gels and how they're meshing, how they're figuring some things out. Particularly on the defensive side, when Big Pat, obviously who starts at the 5, when Big Pat is in, Big Pat can Gongba can switch and they can go switch 1 through 5 potentially. That's probably not where he's the best. And then you bring in, Malik Brown, and all of a sudden Duke can absolutely switch 1 through 5 and they can be a menace to teams because Malik can legitimately guard, all 5 positions. And so it's interesting to watch the defensive mentality there, depending on who the big is in the game. Are you going small with like We've seen some Cam Boozer at the 5 a little bit. Are you going kind of semi-small with the Malik Brown, Cam Boozer back and forth? Or are you going ahead with, with Big Pat? And just seeing how they do that throughout the season. Obviously, the Texas game was the only game we could really watch that, play out in real competition. We'll see it again coming up in a few days with Kansas. In the Kansas game, you'll see what is Duke going to do there on the defensive rotation. But that's been interesting to me, though, Scott. Let's do this. We can take a look real quick, just kind of at the game stats. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can really see that Western Carolina game, shooting wise, was the game that Duke struggled the most in. Obviously, that was a 41-point win. So once again, what can you truly take from that? But only shooting 46.9% from the field, 31.3%, from three in that game. But Duke is currently shooting the ball fairly well, passing the ball fairly well, rebounding the ball decently well. I think that's something that you're going to see Duke, want to improve upon for sure. Scott, anything else on kind of the recap from you?
I would say one of the things that I don't 3 games in, you can't use the word concern because I don't think it's a concern yet. One of the things that I think has to get better, maybe is the way you would it. 3-point shooting's got to get better. And to me, they're out there shooting way too many 3-pointers early. And I mean, yeah, I know it's part of the flow of the game. I got that part. But it's just sometimes it just seems like they're jacking them up to jack them up. And one of the weird things, and I know everybody's seen this and thought the same thing, it's weird to me that you have your center having the point guard run a pick and roll for them. Now, I understand what he's doing. He's getting the best guy with the basketball in his hands, trying to get a disadvantage or an advantage for him, disadvantage for the defensive player. But it is weird to watch Caleb Foster setting a screen at 27 foot for Cam Boozer. Now, one of the things I have noticed, and again, the other night was a little hazy, they actually ran it with some different people. Like Caden did it a couple times, and watching it the other way around, the natural way, Caden with the ball, Cam setting the pick is obviously natural. It's not like those boys haven't been doing that for 18 years now. But it's just that's one thing that's just kind of odd seeing, but knowing how good Cam Boozer is with the basketball. And one other thing, and I remember seeing this the other night and it kept hitting me. His basketball IQ is so good, Cam Boozer that is. And you could see him goading like one steal he had, the 2 steals he had. One where he was kind of lackadaisically coming down the court when they were in the second half, they were on the Army end. And he knew the pass was coming and just jetted right out there and took it all the way down the court and dunked it. And then the other play in the first half where the dude almost took his leg out, which, I mean, I gasped. And I'd already seen the game. The game was already over by the point I saw it. I was like, oh, my Lord, please don't let this guy get hurt. But it's just watching him play defense. He's got that sneaky look like it's hard to it's like a DB in football. I don't want to make a football reference, but it would be like Chandler Rivers in football. He's sitting there waiting because he is anticipating what's getting ready to happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. A couple of specific things before we move into a comparison. That chart that we want to bring up. Isaiah Evans, really his all around game in the first 3 games this season. You're seeing, last year, Isaiah was honestly more of just a heat check guy. And when he got in the game, it was like literally get in, and if you can get the shot off, like shoot it, just to be a flamethrower. And obviously, with him coming back for a second season, Coach Shire wanting him to develop his game and be a more well-rounded player. I believe what you saw last year was you really saw Isaiah give a lot of effort on the defensive end of the court. And so, but this year, obviously, not only just getting better on defense as well, but just to become a well-rounded player. And shout out to Jordan Mann, friend of the pod, for this. Isaiah Evans has been very good for Duke. This is his tweet. Getting downhill off of tight curls. It's created good looks for him and his teammates. Last year, free throw attempts, Evans attempted 32 free throws in 36 games last year, less than 1 free throw a game. This season so far, in 3 games, 15 free throw attempts. And Scott, I believe you told me he's shooting, what, 13 of 15?
13 to 15. And also to stack on that a little bit, and I'm sorry, I took the screen away before I meant to do it. He's shot 31 total shots. So he shot more in 2-point range this year than he ever did last year.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's been that's been interesting, for sure. And then another thing, we couldn't talk about this 3-game recap without the joy that I'm gonna have watching Dame Sarr this season, watching him progress, watching the coaching staff figure out how to use him properly, watching the development of him. He is a really, really talented basketball player. He is incredible on the defensive end. And his offense, you've seen the flashes. I mean, he had a really solid game against Army in only 20 minutes on the court. And so anyway, Scott, back to the point you were making real quick. Sorry that I should have said this first. You made, a couple of statements, first of all, about Duke shooting a lot of threes. And then you also talked about those kind of inverted screens. And those are 2 things that Duke is pulling 100% from the NBA. That's 100%. I believe that Duke has obviously with the Jason Tatum connection, and even with Tatum in a little part-time staff role this year while he's rehabbing, there is a direct connection with Boston. Boston is absolutely, that is what Joe Mazzulla wants. How many threes can you get up? You shoot more threes, you score more points, even if you miss, a handful, whatever. So that's an NBA thing. I think Evan Brads brings a little bit of that, obviously coming from the NBA. And then that screen, in the NBA, it's all about trying to get a matchup, right? It's all about trying to get, your guy matched up with whichever defender. And so you saw it last year a little bit with Duke, where you saw some Kahn and Cooper, where Kahn would come up and screen for Cooper. And then it was like, what are you going to do? Are you going to switch and let Cooper get the mismatch? Or are you going to stay and let Kahn, roll off of that or pop off of that and have an open shot? And so I think it's just, I really love it, actually, while it is interesting and difficult sometimes to figure out, or it's kind of weird to see. That's the evolution of the game, and it's all about hunting matchups. And anyway, anything else? I think that's. Oh yeah, we did want to do this real quick. We want to throw up a little bit. We will not do this all season, but I think we'd be foolish to not mention just how successful the 24-25 team was. While they didn't win the national championship, they did make it to the Final Four. Just a incredibly disappointing loss there to Houston. Obviously, a second half that everyone, John Shire included, wishes that they had back. But we have to also give that team their flowers. They are 100% in the conversation with the 1999 team as the best Duke teams to never win a national championship. And anyway, so just looking at last year's, and these are just surface stats. We're not diving deep into some crazy stats right now, but just surface level stats. And I know the 24-25 team had 30, almost 40 games, how many games they played. And so obviously this season stats could fluctuate up or down, probably down, to be honest with you, as the season goes on. But field goal percentage, 49.3% last year, 49.2% so far this year. Once again, kind of, matching them dollar for dollar. 3-point percentage, 38.6 last year, 38.0 this year. Scott, you already mentioned it earlier. Would love to see this team improve from the 3-point line. Darren Harris has been throwing absolute darts from 3. He was 5 of 7 in the Army game. And the thing I'll say about 3-point shooting, the only thing that makes a difference on your competition level is how open you are, in my opinion. So if you shoot the 3 well, you're shooting the 3 well, right? You might be a little more open because you're playing Army and you play Western Carolina. Obviously, it didn't matter against Western Carolina. We shot 31% for that game. But if you're shooting well, you're shooting well. I don't care if you're playing UConn, Florida, or you're playing the Little Sisters of the Poor, like whatever. Like if you're shooting the ball well, you're shooting the ball well from three. Free throw percentage 79 to 77.2. Once again, fairly close, but would like to see this team get better at that. There's a couple of these here at the bottom that I think are interesting. Sharing the basketball. Scott, you mentioned it in your opener. You love how this team passes the ball, how they get the ball in the right spots. And it's shown in the stats. 17 assists per game last year, 20.8. So almost 4 more assists per game last season. Duke is assisting on a really high percentage of their field goal makes on the season. And so 20.8 assists per game. Turnovers are about the same, 9.3 to 10. But then, steals have gone from 6.7. I can't do that. And then up to an extra 7.7 steals per game. And so Duke can really put a lineup out there when Malik Brown is playing at his best that really disrupts on the defensive end and really can force some turnovers. Scott, any comment on kind of the comparison game between last season versus this season?
Well, just the overall fact that the comparison right now through 3 games now is just a sample size. I mean, it seems this team is obviously better at sharing. The turnovers, I mean, 9 is a little high for anybody. So I think that's something that they would want to cut down, 9 or 10. The fact that they have one more steal per game, and that's, you mentioned Sarr a few minutes ago. He's another sneaky guy. He was getting steals left and right the other night, but he's just so quick. And I think I don't want to use the word part of his issue. I think part of his learning curve is that he's at the point now where his body's a little faster, or his mind is a little faster than his body, as far as he's making moves to the hoop. He's not scoring, but he's getting fouled. But I think 4, 5, 6 games from now, that's going to be an and one, because he's you know what I mean. Last year,
Yeah, like his body's trying to catch up. His body's trying to catch up to his skill set.
Yeah, because like the last couple of years, school where I help out stuff, we had a kid, great soccer player, some of the fastest feet you ever see in his life. But he would walk every time he dribbled a basketball because his feet were so much faster than his hands. So once he started getting better as the season went on every year, his turnovers went down, his shot makes went up. So that's one of the things I think that's going to be a good thing as we go forward with him. But overall, I mean, the fact that they're sharing the basketball, 20 assists a game, I mean, some people would beg for that. And the fact that we're going to the free throw line, we got them in foul trouble the other night, and we got chances to shoot free throws. And one point also you were mentioning a minute ago, Army was shot for shot from 3-point range. They scored most of their baskets off 3 points. I was trying to look that up and I didn't get to it fast enough. But most of their shots made were 3-pointers. I mean, the one kid had 20 points off the bench, and all he did was hit threes. So, I mean, and that's their game. That's how they play. They just couldn't stop Duke in the fast break and all that other stuff. So,
No, that's a good point. I mean, Army does shoot the three a lot. I mean, that was last year the same. We'll get into a mailbag here. Before we do, I do want to say on the defensive side, I was thinking about this, and I believe I mentioned this on Locked On with JJ. Duke could put a lineup out there of Malik Brown, Cameron Boozer, Dame Sarr, Nick Kaminya, and Caden Boozer. And if you think about that lineup, those are 5 ridiculous, like crazy defenders. Like if you put that lineup on the court and I was the opposing team, I don't know where I'm going to attack. I have no idea. Unless I've just got a dominant big that like is just bigger than Malik and Cameron and they can just throw the ball down low. Other than that, I don't know how you attack that lineup. So I don't know that we'll ever see that lineup. That lineup may struggle to score potentially a little bit and be a little bit clunky on offense. But, man, that could be an incredible defensive lineup. So, anyway, moving on, mailbag. We've got, several questions, from some of our listeners. I say listeners. I guess those are football pod listeners that follow us. We're slowly but surely gaining in the basketball following, and we'll get there. But we'll start with Timothy Gonzalez. Shout out Timothy Gonzalez, the Texan. I mean, this is kind of sentimental, but do you miss players like Cooper Flagg, Paulo Banchero, Con Knipple, Derek Lively, and other one and done guys? That was kind of an interesting part. Do we miss those guys, one and done guys? And Scott, I have a feeling you're about to show your age here in talking about one and done versus 4-year guys.
See, that's the thing. I mean, I remember obviously the old age that I am. I had one of the, and I won't go into this story tonight, but anyway, um, to me, the one and doneers, you only get them for 6 months. Now, some of them have great careers. All the guys you just mentioned, man, they were fun to watch. It was great to see them in the Duke uniform. Had they been in any other uniform, it would not have been as much fun. So it was good to have them in our uniform. I mean, obviously, I'm an old school guy. I love the Leitners, the Hills, the Hurleys, the Battiers. Man, that's me. That was my.
The daddy boozer.
I mean, yeah, back in the day when you talk about we've had and Duke has had the two best Alaskans of all time, Carlos Boozer and Trajan Langdon.
Trajan Langdon, the Alaskan assassin, baby.
So you know, I do miss those guys. I would love to, I mean, honestly, all the joking aside, we knew Cooper was never coming back for a second year. We really thought Khan would until halfway through the season last year. But if you can imagine having one of those guys with this team, but we can't. I can do it on maybe NBA Live next year when these guys are going pro, and we can put them on a special Duke team. But yeah, man, I'm an old school guy. I love the old school dudes. Now, don't get me wrong. While these guys are here, man, cheering for them, cheering my heart out for Cam Boozer. And again, I'm an NBA fan. I am nothing like Josh, not even close. But I follow our guys. I don't have a favorite team. I mean, the Hornets obviously would be the favorite team, but they're in Charlotte, and we know how Charlotte sports are. They're pretty freaking bad. So
Yeah, shout out Jamie. He didn't make the podcast to try to rebut that.
Yeah, he couldn't defend himself there. But if I had to pick a home team, that would be my home team. But man, I cheer for them all. I love to watch them play, and each time they're on national TV, which has been a lot more recently, because you can't get an NBA team without 3 to 4 guys that are former Dukies.
Yep.
So
and that's right. That's what I was going to say. I mean, I definitely miss those guys, but what it's made me become is more of an NBA. I really love watching the NBA. Honestly, the level of play is, I mean, it's pretty ridiculous compared to college basketball. There's still obviously something about college basketball and the atmosphere, but I mean, honestly, like Indiana and the atmosphere they put together, obviously Oklahoma City, Golden State. I mean, some of the atmospheres that have been created in the NBA are really strategic and they're really good and they have a really college feel. But definitely miss those guys. But also, I would say, Tim, to your question, I really appreciate the guys, the Isaiah Evans coming back for a second year. Like, I really appreciate Caleb Foster. Like, I know, and I think we're going to maybe have a conversation a little bit potentially with a couple of these questions about like the Caleb Foster and the guards. I root so heavily for a guy like Caleb Foster to be successful because I really love the fact that he's back for a third season. Darren Harris not playing hardly at all last year and coming back. Like, it just makes me appreciate the multi-year guys and the commitment that they have, to the Duke program. So I think that's important. Here's a great question, Scott. We're going to try not to do much flipping back and forth, but I believe we can flip back and forth on the basketball pods better than we can the football pods. So our friend, the Duke of QP, has a question, and it's actually a good one. Which basketball player on this team, current basketball player, would best help our secondary on defense? Okay, in case you're a basketball-only person, Duke football secondary is really, really struggling this season. They're 120th or something in the nation in pass defense. So of this roster that John Shire has put together, who do you want? You can only pick one. Just give us the name, and then we'll move quickly because we do have a few questions. So Give me a guy. I got my guy. So
I mean, I'm not going to pick it. I'm going to say Malik Brown. I think just the fact that he's a 4-year guy and he is just unbelievable. I've never seen a guy that size with the hands as quick as he is.
yeah,
And the fact that he talked Shire into doing the challenge against Texas, where I think he was so fast, it almost looked like he knocked it off the guy's hand and he didn't. But his hands were in there just so quickly. And that's one of the things about Malik I love. The fact we mentioned it a few minutes ago, I think before we got on, Malik had 8 points the other night. Malik doesn't have to score a point. All he's got to do is play defense, screen,
and
pass the
pass.
basketball.
He's an incredible passer.
Yes. I mean, you don't get that from a big man. But he stat sheet stuffer. See, that's 3 S's. I'm gonna throw myself
Easy
up
now,
for myself.
easy.
Yeah,
You can mess that one
that's
up.
the other thing. Yeah, I'm gonna get us canceled after the first episode.
No, okay. I love that because I had two people in my mind. I was like, if he takes one of these, I'm gonna take the other one. Mine was Malik Brown. My second one is Dame Sar. Like you have similar and honestly, everything you just said, copy and paste that Dame Sar. Like I think he'd be incredible on the football field. He would be able to absolutely get where he needed to be and get involved and get some force some turnovers. Here we go from Sam at Bleeding Duke Blue on X. Is Duke's lack of depth at the center position concerning? He says, I know Cam and Malik can pull down boards, but I kind of wish we had a bit more size down low since Pat Gongba is our only true center that will get meaningful minutes. I'll take this one first, and then you can comment if you got anything else. Yeah, I believe. Okay, if the question truly is, do we wish that we would have been able to land like one other big um, body? Sure, absolutely, yes, right, yes, and obviously, Iffy is here, and he's a big body. I mean, I don't think he's expecting to play much. I don't think Coach Shire is going to play him much, but he is a body. But I will say this to the point that we made early in the podcast. I think there are some games where we will miss having another big, right? I mean, come on, last year, like he erased so many defensive like breakdowns, and that was a great defensive team. But I'm saying whenever there was a breakdown, like there was come on, right? So like you don't have that, and come on was a unique talent. So I do think there will be games, Sam, this year that uh, Big Pat either no shows, gets in foul trouble, whatever it may be, sprains an ankle, whatever it is, and Duke really has to play small the entire game. And I would say, yeah, that concerns me. There's nothing that can be done about it. The only thing that you can do in those situations is you have to make the mismatch that you have on your defensive end, you have to make it just as difficult on their defense, right? So like if they've got a big that makes it tough for you on your defensive end, you've got to make it so tough for them to be able to guard, whether it be Cam at the 5 or Malik at the 5. And so that's going to be the key. But I do believe that Cam, we can play small ball. We can play small ball with Cam as your de facto 5. And then obviously that lineup with Malik and Pat. But by the way, Army game, Shire ran a little bit of Pat and Malik in there together for a little bit. I think he did that just to see. Any thoughts on the big, Scott?
I will say this: in the Texas game, for example, both of the bigs fouled out, Gumba and Malik Brown, and Malik fouled out with like 5 minutes to go in the game. Luckily, and I don't say luckily, fortunately, Duke had the lead, and they were up by double digits at the time. And that was Boozer was playing great. So that's one of the things that will concern me as we get maybe to ACC play, as we go down the road, and maybe against teams that have bigger bodies and size, because that's definitely something we're going to run into here in the next stretch where we play 5 or 6 games against top ranked teams. So that's one thing that concerns me. I don't know. I mean, Shire has been done a master job so far in how he's picked and choosed and done his lineups. And again, you mentioned the new staff, the new guys on the staff. We're not playing traditional basketball anymore. And when I say traditional, I mean old school back when I was younger. I mean, we've said this about Coach K jokingly many times. He had to adapt. And when he finally adapted and started coaching the USA team, he became such a better coach. And I know that's crazy to say about the greatest coach of all time. He got better after he coached these other guys. So I think that's one of the things that John Shire has in his advantage, and being with Coach K as long as he did. And John Shire to me is a great basketball mind. And I mean, he could be one of the next, I hate to say it, could be one of the next great
Don't say it.
guys at that
Don't
other
say it.
level,
Don't
at
say
a
it.
different level than where he's at now. But right now, he's
Yeah.
Duke's guy. Stay here as long as he can. Could live his life here. We could have the John Shire building in about 20 years, and 3 or 4 more banners or more hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. um, I will come back to that question. All right, here we go. We just kind of talked about the bigs, but Tyler Lester at TS Lester _ on X. At what point do we worry um, about the point guard position? Right, he mentions he asks about that, and then the possible rotation at center. We just mentioned the center thing about bigger teams, so we won't address that. I do, and this is all I have to say. I don't know there's really much more to say about this. I've already mentioned my respect and appreciation and admiration for Caleb Foster for coming back for his third season. With that being said, there are flashes of Caden Boozer that, oh man, like there are flashes where it's just like this guy has it. Whatever it is, he has it. He has vision, the long outlet passes, getting the ball at the court. In the Army game, there was a corner three by Nick Kamenia. No one else on that team gets that pass to Kamenia in the corner as quickly as Caden Boozer could. So the point guard position, here's the way I see it. I believe that sometime in the month of December, Caden Boozer is going to be given the reins. Similar to last year, I full well expect Caleb Foster to keep his head up and to still be a contributor in a very real way. This team is not, I say this team is not deep enough. I don't mean this is a pretty deep team as far as like 1 through 9, but there's not like those like excess bench guys. So Caleb Foster cannot and will not disappear in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying I believe the logical step in this team and its progression is that Caden eventually becomes the guy at the one. And I will say this pretty concretely. If Caden had a better 3-point shot, it would have already happened. His shot struggles. It's a weird looking shot. There's a hitch in it. Would be nice to see the Duke staff be able to get that. I know you don't really do a lot of that stuff during the season as far as trying to correct. But he is, let's just say it this way, he's like a 30. If he could turn into like a 35 to 38% 3-point shooter, ooh man. So anyway, your thoughts, Scott, on the point guard rotation?
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I do think that, obviously that's one of the great things about Caleb Foster. That last year he never sulked, he never sat in the corner, he never whined, he never belly ached, he never wanted to put down his coach and his team. He was one of the ultimate teammate. And I think that's one of the things that endures people about Caleb Foster and the type person, and don't use the word kid because I think man is a better terminology. Yeah, I do think Boozer does need to work a little bit better on some things, and I think that's part of the reason why Caleb Foster a start. And one of the things about Foster I do like, his in between game has gotten better. He this 15 to 17, 12ish. He's gotten better at those shots, and he was hitting them every time, almost every time he's taking them. So that's one of the things I like. And he's not one to gun threes up either. If he's wide open, he takes it. But ideally, he's trying to get the ball to the open guy, trying to get another guy the basketball. So that's one of the things I like. So, but at the end of the day, I do believe, like Josh just said, I believe that it's going to be Caden's and Foster's going to be the backup unless something crazy happens.
And here's where I'll throw out the NBA thing again. I would actually say if I was John Shire, I would actually say Caleb Foster needs to be shooting more of those threes. You mentioned it. The way his game is right now, it's a little more old school. where he shoots the wide open three, or he likes to really get in the paint. And sometimes he's done well, but like historically, we have three. This is the third season now, right, of seeing him play. That's been a struggle, so especially against really good opponents. And so, we'll see where that goes. In a similar vein, Bentley Weeks at Bentley Weeks on X. Curious to know y'all's thoughts on the guard play. So we get it. So we've kind of talked about the guard play, but he says this: do y'all think we are structured for a natty? I personally feel this roster is plenty good enough, and I get tired of people saying our guards aren't good enough. So is this team good to win the national title? Specifically thinking about, let's just talk about them. The two guys we were just talking about, Caden Boozer, Caleb Foster, Isaiah Evans, and Darren Harris. You can throw in a little bit of Nick Camino in there. He's really a three. There could be some scenarios where maybe he slides over in plays like I talked about that defensive lineup earlier. But really, it's those four guys and say half of Nick Camino. Scott, those four guys, man, thinking about that. Like obviously you got Isaiah Evans, who is an all ACC type guy who is averaging, I think, close to 17 points a game right now, shooting 38% from three, shooting well from the line, getting to the line. He's playing really good basketball. He's obviously good enough. I believe his defense is good enough. He's by no means an elite defender, but I believe his defense is good enough. And then Darren Harris, we've talked about the point guards. I think if Caden takes the next step, Caden is good enough. There will be times where he shows his true freshman self, and there's going to have to be games where Caleb Foster really steps in as that vet. Two guard, Isaiah Evans, there's going to be games, we know this, where he's not hitting. And then it's about, is he playing good enough defense and making others better on offense to stay in the game? And Darren Harris becomes very valuable and very vital in those positions, those times and situations. So your thoughts, man, on the guard play. Is this guard play good enough to go, let's just say, I won't even say natty like Bentley said. Is guard play good enough to get to the Final Four?
Yes, it is. Again, I'm living upon, and I'm usually the guy that's looking 6 months in advance. I'm trying to cool my jets on that the older I get, and it's not working, but I'm trying. There are obviously some things we need to work on and get better as the season goes on, and we're doing a really good job as far as I'm concerned. Defensively, overall, this team is one of the best defensive teams I've seen. Now, grant, small sample size, Western Carolina, Army, and Texas. I'm going to tell you right now, Texas, when they get their junk together, is going to be one of the best teams in the SEC. Sean Miller can coach. And that's like saying, and God forbid me say this on a Duke thing, Will Wade can coach. He's going to get those guys going. I mean, this could be almost as good as it was back when V, Dean, and K were in the early 80s. So, and triangle basketball obviously is up a little bit now. I mean, nobody cares about Chapel Hill, but the other two teams everybody cares about now. But still, but back to answering the question, I think they can. Got to stay out of foul trouble, and so far they've done a great job. None of the point guards has gotten any trouble. Darren Harris, it's almost like a rec league type game. He doesn't look like he's putting any effort into it. He just pulls up, hits shots. I don't want to say Steph Curry, but similar. Steph Curry when he shoots a three is the most effortless thing you've ever seen in your life. Darren Harris,
he's like Steph Curry with no emotion.
Right.
That's the other thing. It's like stone face. And by the way, when Scott says Seth Curry, he's not saying that Darren Harris is good as Seth Curry. He's simply talking about like kind of the way he gets the shot off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean,
the catch high, shoot high, catch high, keep high, shoot high on Darren Harris is fantastic. Like it's beautiful.
And those 2 threes he hit with a minute and a half and right under a minute to go the other night. I mean, it was like you rolled out of bed and shot them.
Yep.
Everything looked perfect, and it went to the bottoms.
So yeah, I'll finish up that question. We only have one more. Finish up that question by just saying, I believe there will be a game or more this year where the guard play loses us the game. I think that there's a chance that happens. when you face a guy, I'm thinking about like Alabama last year with like a Mark Sears. When you catch a guy like that, you just gotta hope that Caden takes the next step and continues the defensive prowess, and really can like take on not only running the team on the offensive end, but really taking on like I'm gonna defend that best guard that the other team throws at you. So there's gonna be a lot of pressure I feel like on Caden Boozer as the season progresses. So last question, Peter Dodge at PD Duke 85X. Can you see a scenario whereby NIL/rev share will keep a projected one and done in school longer to either number one, get bigger, faster, stronger, or number two, work towards a meaningful degree? So, um, Scott, what are your thoughts?
See, there's a catch 22 already because we have thought this nonstop for the last 3 seasons that somebody would stay. And I mean, Isaiah Evans, I think, would be the perfect example of what's going on there to answer your question. I mean, he's gotten better. And to be honest with you, I don't know how true this is, so don't quote me. Um, I heard that Will Wade was working hard and he just did not hit the right number, or he just didn't want to go wear red. He liked the blue a little bit better, obviously. But that says a lot about, somebody like Isaiah Evans because he's going to be an NBA player. And last year, just going off of the way he played last season, we thought he could be like a Craig Hodges. Now, you talk about old school. Craig Hodges back in the 80s and the 90s, a six-man role where you come off the bench, Joe Dumars, Vinny Johnson, somebody like that. So, yeah, I'm really old school now. Josh wasn't even alive for half these
Jeez,
people.
bro. No, I mean I know him, but I was a kid, man. I was a kid.
So,
I
but
was
you're talking
thinking
about
more like
guys.
I was thinking more like who are just those like Kyle Korver,
Yeah,
the Kyle
there you go.
Korver type that's like the specialty, Duncan Robinson,
Hmm.
that kind of thing. So a little bit younger. I'm not that much younger than Scott, but
But see, obviously, that goes back to the point where Josh is more of an NBA guy. I'm more of a college guy. I'll be honest with you. Up until the last 3 seasons, I hardly ever watched NBA basketball. If it was on and there was nothing else on television, I'd sit down and watch it. Now, I mean, there'll be football on, and if there's an NBA game that's better and it's got a couple of dookies, which, like I said earlier, most every NBA team has at least 1 to 2 dookies on it. So you kind of have an excuse to watch a basketball game, whether you want to or not.
yeah, no, for sure. So to the question, Peter. Yeah, I do believe there's a greater chance, and Isaiah is the perfect example for it. I'll throw it back to the season that NIL became legal, um, and that season was the year that DJ Stewart, after his freshman year, went pro, and he is yet to land. He's been a G leaguer, and I know the Bulls brought him. I think he may have gotten in at the end of last season for his first ever NBA minutes. I don't know if he did or not, to be honest with you. But all that to say, if he's gotten any NBA checked into any NBA game, it's been like minimal. I think the answer is zero. But anyway, he was on a 10-day, but I'm not sure how that worked out. Anyway, DJ Stewart had NIL been around just 1 year prior, DJ Stewart absolutely stays at Duke. He was a fan favorite. That was that weird COVID year as well. He was a fan favorite even in the COVID year. And I truly believe that guy would have turned into a 3 to 4 year player at Duke and left being one of the most beloved Duke players from the fan base. So I do believe that's the case. I want to believe that the degree, matters. You see a guy like Will Avery, who left early and then does come back years later, 20 years plus later, and finishes his degree. And you got to give those guys insane amounts of credit for doing that. So, yeah, to answer the question, there is definitely a greater shot that someone that's like a teetering draft pick would potentially come back for another season because of NIL or rev share.
So the where are they now? Stewart is in Israel, I think is what I read.
Yeah.
The Italian league.
Italian.
So he's not even in the NBA anymore. He's over in Italy.
Yeah. Anyway, we're almost done. We want to do a segment though. By the way, Duke's game's coming up. I'll be in Cameron Friday night, and I think this is going to come out before Friday night. We're going to work on that. But I'll be in the Indiana State game covering it, and then obviously Duke plays Kansas next week. The rhythm we're probably going to get on is here about every couple weeks. We're going to do a pod, and so, but our pods will basically be recapping and going over the games that have happened more than they will be previewing games that are upcoming, if that makes sense. So that's kind of the rhythm that we're going into. We've got a couple of ideas for podcasts maybe in the off season that we think Duke fans would really like, but we're going to hold on telling you what that is until later. But I got some really cool ideas to try to keep this pod going year round. And then one segment we do want to introduce to you this week is Duke in the NBA segment. We want to take the end of the podcast, highlight a Duke player playing in the NBA. If we run out of them, we'll go back and maybe highlight a career of a Duke player who's maybe retired from the NBA. But anyway, we could not do a Duke in the NBA segment this week without highlighting the man, and that is Mr. Grayson Allen. Hated by many, loved by few. But earlier this week, they played the New Orleans Pelicans, who only God knows what's going on down there in New Orleans, and what's been going on down there for years. But Grayson Allen just simply put up 42 points, 12 of 17 from the field, 10 of 15. Yes, that's right. You heard it first. 10 of 15. You heard it right. I'm sorry. 10 of 15 from the three-point line. Grayson Allen. The guy has turned into an incredible shooter. Led the league in three-point shooting 2 years ago. Anyway, Phoenix has gone through a lot. Grayson Allen has gone through a lot of it his choosing in his career. But to see him finding his rhythm, having a game like that, like I said, he's turned into one of the top. I think you could probably say at least the top 5 3-point shooters in the league, and he might even be bumping the upper echelon of that. So Grayson obviously won the 2015 national title and had a incredible career at Duke. So Grayson Allen is your Duke in the NBA guy for our first basketball episode. So Scott, we did it, man. Got through the first basketball episode.
Yeah, I feel like starting this week anyway, basketball was becoming a big deal. I mean, we have our first basketball game tomorrow night, so road game. So now I feel like I'm going to be knee deep in basketball until the middle of February.
Yes, Scott does play by
the
play.
high school basketball. Then
yeah,
a little bit of the
Scott does play by play for the high school that he and I both graduated from, Liberty Christian here in Durham. So Scott does play by play for them, which is pretty cool. I laugh because Scott gets angry sometimes at the refs during those broadcasts, and he tries to stay professional. He does his best to stay professional.
And if you know me, that's really hard to do.
So, hey, but anyway, well, listen, we appreciate you watching or listening, however you viewed this or listened to this. If you would subscribe to our YouTube channel, we're going to be putting these out throughout the entire season. Following Duke basketball, covering Duke basketball. Like I said, I'll be in Cameron for the Indiana State game. Going to be in Cameron several times throughout this season. And we're going to bring you everything that we can to everything Duke basketball, right? We know there are other Duke basketball podcasts out there. Our goal is to Jamie to be a part of these, and then also to bring on some of our friends, to bring on the Jordan Mans, to bring on the JJ Jacksons, to bring on, I'd love to get a couple of other guys that I've just got to kind of butter up on press row there that really understand the game on a deep level and bring them in. But we want to bring you good content. Like I said, really good other basketball podcasts out there. We want to bring you some interesting stuff from our perspective as well. But for Scott Medlin, the absent Jamie Holt, and our producer, Tyler Witt, shout out to him. This is Josh Cox, and then another episode, or the first episode, of the Basketball Section 17 podcast.